right, welcome to April 20th, 2021 Easthampton EDIC meeting. Still pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Easthampton Economic Development and Industrial Commission is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public is permitted. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A recording will be made available via Easthampton Media. That'll be posted as soon as we are humanly able to. Here we will admit another member. All right, scroll. We'll wait for Casey to achieve audio. Hello, Casey Douglas.
How are ya?
Great. I love that I can hear you and you can hear me, and it seems like we've fixed all of the previous year's technological challenges just in that one
time to meet in person.
Yeah. So we're only missing one member, so we will continue and hope that our city planner will join us. I don't know. So I'd like to remind everyone of EDIC's mission, which is to support and enhance the economic environment for current and future businesses, residents, and the community at large in Easthampton. That said, has everyone had occasion to review the March 16th, 2021 meeting minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Any motion to approve?
I would move to approve the minutes of March 26th.
Okay.
I'll second.
Seconds. Okay, we got multiple seconds. That's fine. Let's see. Second. All right. Any further discussion? Okay, so all in favor of approving the March 16th, 2021 meeting minutes, give me a physical showing of your approval. A thumbs up or a hand up will suffice for approval. Okay, and so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And Paul, would you call yourself an abstention?
Correct.
Yes. Very good. We haven't got any members of the public. If there's anything that you'd like to put on the agenda now that isn't on the existing agenda, do tell those of you who are in attendance. Hearing none, we haven't got a city planner, so we do not have any updates, at least from Jeff Bagg. So what do I know about that? Anything at all? I know that the local rapid recovery plan is on its way. Mo, would you like to say more about how that rollout of the survey, et cetera, and all those plans are working out?
Sure. We are at the point now where we're doing data collection. And part of that data collection was a business survey, which has gone out. And Friday was the close of that survey. And in meeting with Dr. Campbell, who is the consultant who we have been assigned to work with, according to him, that we have done really, really well in getting responses compared to our region. So that was kind of exciting and always makes me very happy that folks take the time to do that, because that's really going to help us as we put forward a plan and try to figure out exactly what everybody needs rather than just conjuring up something. So that's really terrific. And so if you are a business owner and had the opportunity to fill that out, I thank you very much. And I think what happens now is that data is going to be analyzed by another party, another consultant, and we will be receiving a report on that data so that we can work from that. So everything is full steam ahead. We're in a really good spot. I'm feeling really good that by the reporting from our from Dr. Campbell, that we're in a really good position. We're kind of a little bit ahead of the game. So we won't get caught kind of running after this, that, or the other thing. So that's where we're at.
Okay. Thank you for that, Mo. Okay. Next up then, have people had a chance to, yes, Casey.
So just, if we're talking planning department, I see in the paper that it's up for review, the mobile station, their application for their building permit or something. I don't know if it's a time matter, but it looks like they're doing work on the mobile station. So there's progress there.
Yeah, I think Casey, what they're actually doing right now is surveying and borings. As you probably all know, the gas station is going to go away, and what will be built in its place is, I believe, a 19-unit apartment complex. 4 units will be affordable, 15 units at market rate. So you have 19 more living units right smack downtown, which is a great thing.
And retail on the first floor.
Retail on the first floor. And it'll be tied right in with the existing package store that's there. And it's been a couple of years in the works. I think it was delayed for a lot of reasons out of the owner's control. But I think you're right, Casey, from the activity that's going on now, I think they're getting ready to move on it. So anytime we can get more people living downtown, that's just a great, built-in customer base.
General housing, more housing.
Yep.
Exactly.
I have a planning update as well.
This is the grapevine planning.
I know that Jeff was going door to door in a couple of houses on Clark Street to add, it's as part of the procedure to add flashing beacons at the crosswalks on Clark Street. And I think that he made good headway with that. It's just one of the steps that he has to go through many of to get a grant.
That's great.
One other little thing behind the scenes, just as an FYI, I know Jeff had approached the school building committee, and the long-range plan that he has is to try to make the new school and the high school much more accessible to walking and biking. And while he doesn't necessarily have the ducks in a row for the grants that would potentially extend somehow, don't even ask me how, the bike path and pathways to the southern section of town. So people/kids, whatever, could walk or bike to the new school, and then tying that into the high school as one big campus. He approached the school building committee to ask them to consider, as part of the final stages of construction, to install some sidewalks on the school property that would extend to the edge of the property, that would allow them at some point in the future to tie that all in. I think there's a lot of support for that. The only concern, as we might have, is funding. Believe it or not, the sidewalks going in are somewhere in the $50,000 to $60,000 range, and on a $100 million project, that might not be a big number, but the last thing the committee can afford to do is fall short on something because we put sidewalks in. But again, if we fall short by $50,000 or $60,000 on a $100 million project, somebody made a goof. So it sounds like the good news is that the decision doesn't have to be made on that until White Brook comes down and the football field and parking lots get constructed. But it seems to be a lot of support, and the decision should be coming soon. So that sort of is a precursor to ultimately tying in the schools to make them very walkable and bikeable.
And that falls into the category of, if it doesn't get done when the whole project gets done, then more than likely it never gets done.
Right. And not only that, Casey, but it would be a lot more expensive to get it done, while we have the contractors, while we have the equipment there. It might be $50,000 or $60,000, but it might be 80 or 90 in the future.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm taking notes so we can get minutes out of this. Great. Anything else that springs to mind? Happenings in town that you've seen going on?
No, I don't know if this falls into this category, but I wanted to share about a regional pilot project grant that I believe was put out by Mott. Northampton had launched a project called Takeout 413 or 413 Takeout, I think it was.
Right.
So we partnered with them in applying for the grant and for marketing, and it's going to expand. So we will be Easthampton will be a part of that, along with several other chamber communities. So that's kind of exciting, and we'll have marketing monies. I don't have the details because we all need to get together to discuss how that's going to all work, but I should have, by the time we meet again, I will have more if it's not already in swing.
So does that mean, Mo, that that's a partnership between the Northampton and the Greater Easthampton chambers?
Yes, and it's and amongst others as well. I think Amherst is part of that. I think I want to say I can't remember all of them, but there's several, and it's a regional pilot project. So yep. There's several, and it's pretty exciting. So we'll have opportunities and funding and dollars for marketing that program, and so marketing us and our restaurants in the region.
And what's it called again?
It is called, let me see if I can see it here. 413 Takeout.
And people are essentially pledging to they're getting together with groups of friends and pledging to get takeout from a local restaurant X many times a month or so.
Yeah, something, yeah.
Just to boost the local restaurant biz.
Right. And we applied for $80,000 and we got the full 80. So I'm not really sure how much we'll have to spend on our marketing, but we have to all kind of figure out what the equitable division of monies is going to be per community. So, but I'll have more. It's exciting.
So Mo, that's exclusively for takeout. It doesn't in any way support dine-in? Well,
it's specifically for takeout, but I think it's really an awareness, right? I think that's the catch that we're using, but it's going to draw attention to the community at large, really, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The only reason I mention that is a lot of times we'll have breakfast on Sunday mornings at the Easthampton Diner. And the past 2 Sundays, it is like pre-pandemic levels. I mean, full house, as full as they can make it. Sometimes a little wait to get in, people eating outdoors, indoors. It almost feels like normal when you go in there on a Sunday morning.
And I will say that takeout has been terrible for us now that the weather's nice. People are eating in restaurants or outdoors. And we are going to be closed for a week and then open again. We really want to focus on in-house and our back patio and try to get away from the to-go stuff. It's not exactly what our market is or what our style was before. So it's like with Mo, I think it'll evolve. I mean, I'm hoping that it'll evolve, and it's just mean support. Takeout is what was available. Now it's takeout plus. I think that it's great just to reassure people that the public that the restaurants are back open and we need your support.
Right. And here's the other thing too, though, Casey. Not everybody has the capacity that you have, and so it's all good. It's all good.
Exactly.
Marketing money is marketing money. I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever you want to call the project.
Just get people eating.
Exactly.
Okay, so we talked several meetings ago about deciding that we did want to advertise our services as a thought partner for entrepreneurs in the Blueprint Easthampton inventory of local services. And Chris came up with a document for us to play around with. So have people had a chance to weigh in there? I weighed in 6 weeks ago or something. I haven't looked since. So do we want to get into that today?
It looked short and sweet to me. It sort of was a little vaguish at points, but clear to the point that we're here to assist in what way we potentially can.
I'll be honest, I completely forgot about that. I think that was it me who shared that?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that I shared it with editing privileges. I haven't been to it since I shared it, I guess. Has anyone edited anything?
I did.
Gwen did.
Okay, I'm trying to get to it now.
So here, let me get out of the way. Wires. I can share what it says with you all. So essentially, this bit. EDIC is a group of Easthampton residents and business owners focused on the economic sustainability of the city. We can be helpful in the following ways. A, network/information. If a prospective or existing business has hit a roadblock with regulations, zoning, or anything else, please come talk to EDIC. We may know of a workaround or work towards making changes to solve the roadblock. B, advocacy. If there is an idea that helps the economic health of the city, but zoning stands in the way, let us know. If zoning is something that can be changed, we might be able to help. When there are projects that are of economic benefit to the city, please let us know and we will try to talk about those benefits at public meetings. I mean, I think we could make it more assertive, but I think this has the basic ingredients of what we offer to the business community.
Yeah, I liked your phrase, Gwen, thought partners. Because we had talked about in most cases, what we can do is either support projects with a letter from EDIC or in-person meetings, attending meetings, Zoom, if you will, to show support. So we all know, and Jeff has sort of given us a heads up that whenever any project comes about in town, and this isn't unique to Easthampton, the negative component is the one that tends to show up and be very vocal at meetings. And if nothing more, our positive voice might be an aid to helping entities like the planning board or zoning board or city council to vote positively to support projects. You know, Dunkin' Donuts, I believe, has finally gotten the okay to go in. That took way too long based on the fact that it was already zoned for business. It just took way too long. And I'm surprised that they hung in there. I'm glad they hung in there. And I'm not supporting Dunkin' Donuts one way or the other, but new business lowers taxes, or supports taxes, I should say.
It's interesting you phrase it that way, Tom, because, you know, the one thing that I first looked at was to maybe put in there that we have public speak, and that any entrepreneur in the city going for permitting might benefit just from being on our public speak. I mean, I don't know how we would word it, but I think that if we could put out that we're the aid to business growth, to be a resource that way. I mean, I don't know how to say that we want to be on your radar to encourage you. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Well, under advocacy, both of those bullets, Chris has the phrase "let us know." Maybe somehow the "let us know" could become, again, somebody's better than I is going to have to phrase it, but the "let us know" could be, you know, come to public speak at our meeting.
Stewards in business. You know, so something that says navigator through bureaucracy. You know,
So does that get at your network's information section here? We might know of a workaround or work towards making changes. Like we can help navigate that process
and support business growth. I don't know.
One of the things that I thought was important was that EDIC should know about roadblocks that are being encountered, not only to help people who are encountering them, but to maybe work on something to prevent future entrepreneurs from running into the same problem. But I didn't think that was really in the scope of this blurb or whatever we're calling it.
No, I think that's a task on our end, is to figure out why things didn't happen and what we could do to prevent that from happening again. But I think that if we could be on the forefront of helping people to knock off the not in my backyard folks, you know what I mean? If there's people, some people saying yes and some people saying no, you know what I mean? Just to be at meetings and whatnot.
Yeah, I've spoken, Casey, to several city councilors, and I spent 8 years on the school committee years ago. I will tell you, a room full of people supporting or against a project will sway votes. So I still believe to this day that that's what affected the cannabis application on Northampton Street. And two city councilors that voted against that tell me that someday over a drink or two, they'll explain why they voted against it. But when it comes to projects that support the entire city tax base and a project that was growing cannabis, not retail, these multiple retail outlets aren't all going to survive. They can't. There's going to be too many of them. But the growers will always have a place to sell their product. It could be nationwide, not just Easthampton. So the growers are going to survive. And we just shot down a grower who was going to put up a new building with new tax dollars on a piece of, and you could argue it's agriculture and it used to be a farm. But the neighbors are the ones that showed up in groves to oppose the project, and it went down. And it went down by a very close vote, like 5-4. If we had known about it, we might have been at that meeting, might have been to support it.
Okay, so currently this suggests if you've hit a roadblock, come talk to us. We can act as stewards. We may know of a workaround, know whom to talk to, can ourselves work towards making changes to solve the roadblock. And then this third bullet here, I said, when there are projects that are of economic benefit to the city, please let us know. We can endeavor to lift up those benefits at public meetings.
And
Is
again,
there more that we would say there?
Well, I'm just wondering, Gwen, if the please let us know should reflect what it did in the first bullet, because people might say, how do I get in touch with EDIC? And I think to Casey's or Chris's point, whoever made the point, the best way to get in touch with us is jump in on one of our meetings.
Yep. Okay. Other. Okay.
Like it.
Shall I read through this again and we can decide whether we want to approve this and send this on to Casey Corsello?
Sure. Before you read through it, do you think that it's worth putting in there somewhere that, aside from just speaking at our public speak, they can request to be agended? Mm-hmm. Is that worth going into?
What if at the public speak, if that would be something that we might recommend that they be added to the agenda? Do you know what I mean? Or is that?
You mean at that same meeting? I think the problem is that if they come and public speak us, we can't really
Talk back and forth?
Unless we have a standing item on our agenda to, I don't know how to do that.
And we tend to include things like new business, quote unquote, at the end of meetings, but also I currently tend to plan these assuming that what we put in there is going to take the time of the meeting rather than having a spare 15 minutes. Have we ever ended early? No.
Maybe once.
I think Mo, I think the real reason we don't get into a conversation in public speak is an item could be raised that we may need an opportunity to do some research. And if we get so the person raising the issue has all the education on it and we don't. And so it could be put on an agenda for the next meeting. And then we have an opportunity to have at that meeting the experts like Jeff or zoning person, or we have an opportunity to educate ourselves about it. But public speak, unfortunately, 10 times out of 10 will catch you off guard.
Yeah, so I think that having both of those options available is well worth it, because it's fine to have somebody write to me and say, can I come and talk to you at the next meeting, and we can work that in.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else here? All right, I'm going to read it aloud again. EDIC is a group of Easthampton residents and business owners focused on the economic sustainability of the city. We can be helpful in the following ways. Networks and information. If a prospective or existing business has hit a roadblock with regulations, zoning, or anything else, I guess I would push on anything else, like literally anything else. Do we want to put boundaries around that?
I don't think we need to overthink it.
Okay. Please come talk to EDIC. We can act as stewards. We may know of a workaround, know whom to talk to, or work towards making changes to solve the roadblock. Advocacy. If there's an idea that helps the economic health of the city, but zoning stands in the way, come to public speak at EDIC meetings or write to the chair to appear on an agenda. If the zoning is something that can be changed, we may be able to help. When there are projects that are of economic benefit to the city, come to public speak at EDIC meetings or write to the chair to appear on an agenda, and we can endeavor to lift up those benefits at other public meetings. Yay? We're cool with this idea?
Yeah, can I just make a stylistic change real quick?
Please, would you tell me?
Just gonna do that and that. Does that look okay?
Great, yes. I love it. I have no idea if any of the formatting will change when Casey sticks this wherever she's going to stick this in that document, but yeah, great.
Right.
One thing that hit me when you were reading that, Gwen, is under networks and information, we talk about hitting a roadblock with regulation, zoning, or anything else. In the advocacy, we specify zoning.
It's true.
Zoning stands in the way. I guess there could be a lot of different, it could be conservation, it could be planning, could be zoning, a lot of different things, could be permitting. A lot of things could stand in the way.
We say like city regulations.
Yeah, there you go. If any city regulation. And then just get rid of the S on stands. And then same thing there. Perfect. Thanks, Paul.
All right. Anything else standing out to you here?
Looks good to me.
All right, shall we vote on it? Shall we formalize our commitment to this little blurb, or is that not, I don't know. Is this the level of commitment we're making by voting on it?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll motion.
Great, thank you. Any second?
Second.
Very good. Any further discussion? Okay, I can't actually see all of your faces, so I'm going to need you to, oh, now I can see all your pretty faces. Okay, so all in favor, holler aye by throwing your hand up.
Aye.
Great. Oh, perfect. Okay, so,
So now what? How do we get, would we just link her to the document maybe?
yeah, I'm just going to send this text to Casey.
Okay.
All in favor, Gwen will send to Casey. Okay. I will unshare. Very good. Thank you for that. So last time in an action-packed and thrilling event, we prioritized stuff to do in calendar year 2021. Paul, it was a real time. I'm sorry that you missed it. I'm very glad you're better. So things that we approved at the time to focus on were the following. Vacant buildings / storefronts, which we sort of put the hold on when COVID happened last year. We talked about identifying vacant properties, designing a template letter to contact owners of vacant buildings or storefronts. We talked about revisiting Cassie's proposal from early 2020, which is still in our archives. Second idea, creative ideas for transporting folks around the city to planned music, art, and food events. This had widespread support. We wanted to talk about the scope and areas of service we might focus on there. And then the third idea, our original idea was support of COVID-specific outdoor dining ideas, including the parking lot at 50 Payson, having picnic tables, et cetera, in it, sidewalk expansion. We had brought up the idea of business-sponsored picnic tables. So the good thing about that last one is that the mayor has taken action on 2 of those features already, which is to open up 50 Payson for picnicking and to endeavor to use expanded sidewalks to the extent we are able, and just let's make that possible for people. So I continue to be open to figuring out other ways that EDIC would like to support COVID-related outdoor dining ideas. And also, it may be that we want to go back to our 4th ranking priority from the last meeting, which was social media engagement with the city, and consider expanding into that. So all of this is open for discussion. I would like to come up with what we want the scope of these ideas to be this year so that we can turn those things into actions. Would anyone like to begin? Oh, I see eyebrows on Cassie.
Action. Yay.
Hey, girl. Okay, so can we take up this idea of the COVID-specific outdoor dining first? Because I want to know whether we want to stick with that and like be in some way supportive of the now existing plan, or if we want to expand that, or if we want to redirect to another topic area.
I would prefer to redirect to another area only because so many different restaurants are in different scenarios that we can't do general work which will help the majority. I think everybody's in such a specific place that we may come up with really good plans, but it doesn't apply to half of them because of this. It doesn't apply to the other half because of this, and therefore all this work helps one business. So I think they're just so individually different that it's difficult to pigeonhole a commonality to come up with something. That's all.
Okay.
I think it would be difficult to make any more progress on what the city can do to help the restaurants at this point. I think that the actions that they took are as helpful as they probably can be. And I don't know how much more result we'll get if we continue to try and, suggest different things. Like you said, it might be whole, for one restaurant, and it's hard. It's hard because there's so many different unique cases. And
I think what the city has put forward is a good option for each individual restaurant to make that choice for themselves if they so choose, right? So, and their situation may be just completely not able to support that, or with the options that the city has presented, they can think that through for themselves, because they're all, like you say, Paul, everybody is so different and so unique that it's not a cookie cutter solution.
And I think that's where the transportation comes in. I think that the biggest problem that Cottage Street has is the parking and the clutter. And I think that it can deal with the clutter of people. It can't just deal with the clutter of the traffic and the parking. And that's where the transportation sort of helps in it. And also, if there's the transportation is a scheduled time, I think you would get people to go to the businesses and see the art scene at off times. So restaurants are going to be busy Friday and Saturday night from 6 to 8 o'clock, guaranteed. It's getting people to go to off hours, either early or late, or Thursdays and Sundays. That would really help the businesses more, because it's not a change to what they already do. It just means that they're busier during times that they're already there, versus creating more space that they have to maintain or more product they have to buy to have a bigger dining room. So I think that's the transportation is the way that would be most helpful to the restaurant businesses across the board.
I think too that This is going to be a moot point real soon. I don't know that I have this exactly correct, but I believe Connecticut is about to remove the limitations on, this 50% or 60% capacity. I don't know if they're eliminating the 6-foot requirement, but they're presumably about to eliminate the capacity limitations on businesses. And I've got to believe, whether you agree or disagree that things are happening too soon, I've got to believe that Massachusetts isn't too far behind. So again, the only thing Connecticut's going to require, and I think New Hampshire is the same, I think the only requirement that's going to be left is going to be masks.
Yeah.
So again, this may allow, I would hope though that the industry, the city, the industry is in some way preparing for the next pandemic, because everybody I talk to in the medical field aren't saying if there's another pandemic, they're saying when there's another pandemic, because they believe this has opened the door to future similar issues.
How would that be? Do you know if they? I mean, I know this is kind of off topic, but just curious.
I don't know that I can. Mo, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, for example, the different variants, and Massachusetts is number 4 in the nation for the number of the UK variant rise. We're number 4 in that.
I see. So it more of like as a continuation of this particular virus mutating and then coming back around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
And Paul, as a country, we've come to live with 60 or 70,000 flu-related deaths every year, and we think nothing of it, and everyone gets a flu shot. I have they're already talking about boosters are going to be necessary for COVID. Are we going to get to where we're at a comfort level of 100,000 deaths a year in the country, and yep, everybody gets a COVID shot every year, but the medical folks I engage with at the hospital from time to time are preparing for the next pandemic.
Okay.
All right, so it sounds like we are slowly coming to a consensus that we're going to focus on 2 of our original 3 priorities. Does that suggest also a consensus that we should focus on another of the priorities that we discussed at our last meeting? Do we want to revert directly to the 4th ranking one?
I would say yes. I mean, I think that we can do all that, and the 4th ranking one is not, at first blush anyway, doesn't seem to be that big of a task.
I want to agree with you, but we have been trying to wrangle with it since I got on EDIC, which is 1,000 years.
We're talking social media presence, right? As the 4th one?
The social media engagement with the community one, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what kind of support did we have here? Do you happen to have the vote tallies for that?
That was, when we first voted for it, it had 3 people. And then it came in second when it was down to that one versus transportation.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, what is there? I mean, I would say, yeah, let's do it.
If you have it at your fingertips, Gwen, could you just say what the others were?
Sure, absolutely. They were future school building use, zoning changes, accessory dwelling units / affordable housing opportunities, social media engagement with the community, creating a decision-making approach about when we take a stance or write a letter regarding new business or planning board applications, COVID-specific outdoor dining, vacant buildings or storefronts, commitment to EDIC representatives showing up to zoning meetings, which actually is like not that big a deal, creative ideas for transporting folks around the city to music, art, and food events.
So can I just ask, forgive me, because I wasn't able to make it for the last meeting, and you're talking about social media engagement. So who would be managing that account, and who, what will we be putting out there? And
exactly, Mo, we don't know.
Because just, dealing with the chamber's social media stuff, it's not a heavy duty brain work, but it's a lot of work and it's constant. So I don't know who would be doing that.
Right. So in the past, two variations have been suggested, and maybe they coalesce in some way. I'm not really sure. We never really got to the point of doing anything about it. So that's why it came up as, here's a thing we could try and really get to the bottom of it, figure out the scope and its goal and how we actually do it. I think when we first started talking about it, Jeff Bagg's position was to think of EDIC as a booster of the signal for other people's posts about information about existing businesses, new businesses, just things happening in the area, ways that we can upsell the idea of, hey, you could show up to this meeting and show your support for X. Here are reasons why you might want to do that, that sort of thing. There are also, we had also Casey offer the fact that Kim is a just absolutely rabid fan of municipal meetings, and she likes to watch them, and that she potentially could be talked into helping us out with that sort of thing. And that's as far as we ever got, mostly vagaries. Mm-hmm.
And I think what Mo sees is what people want, you know, from members of the chamber without the finances and time necessary to get the social media presence that you need. And I think that it's the leaps and gaps between the difference of what it is. But I think that a start in an effort is worth a try, or to investigate. Like even as simple like the good news page of Easthampton or Easthampton Arguments, you know, it's a monitored site, and sometimes members of the committee could add information to it, but otherwise it's a public forum that people could be members of and then shared. I don't know enough about it, but I'm encouraged to want to try something.
Thought about that, Casey. I wonder, and I have no clue, would we be prohibited as a municipal entity to post on pages like that? I just wonder. I don't know. I have no clue.
I don't think so. I mean, I was one of the people who ran the school building. It was a political action committee when we were trying to get the new school built, and we didn't have any regulations beyond reporting our financials. I think that if planning is able to post so many things, I don't see why EDIC wouldn't be able to as well. Could be missing something.
Well, the city planning posts, and it's the city's account, right? They're representing the city on the city's account, as opposed to posting on somebody else's account, like on the Good News page or this other page that Casey just suggested. I don't know.
I knew to know that in the Parks Department it's similar, where it's like it's a city account kind of, and the people who post there, you know, they're up. There's a certain level of scrutiny because of that.
Yeah, it's a subtle point, right? So what is the goal of EDIC that is distinct from that of planning or the other boards whose work we might want to remind the world of? Are we just there to, I mean, we'd have to identify what is our purpose. Are we there to remind people of the great things that are happening in the business community? How does that Venn diagram with the work of the chamber versus, I don't know.
I think that it's probably okay if we have an established account, right, with the city's logo, and you know, we're an official thing, and we're broadcasting, you know, city planning wins or questions or other departments. So we're like, in falling in line with Jeff's, what I think he was saying about broadcasting a megaphone type of thing, as opposed to hopping onto other pages and doing stuff. You know, does that, am I not explaining myself well?
No, I think you're making sense, at least to me. And I think that as long as we don't violate open meeting law and we have a city account, I mean, someone might come along and say we're doing something, but I don't think so.
I think one of the distinctions I see, though, is when you see Jeff posting things from the planning department, like he did a lot of posts on the Ferry Street roundabout when it was going in, the Ferry Street project. He's done posts on the new school, the roundabout there. It was informational. I think where we'd have to be careful, and I'm only guessing, is if we took a position on something and posted. So back to Chris's point about the school and the efforts that the school building committee itself, we could go out with information, but we couldn't take a position. We couldn't say, please vote yes for the new school. We could say, here's what the new school is going to do. Here's the benefits. Here's this.
Right.
Information. So there was a distinction between information and taking a position.
Right. And the chamber, because of our bylaws, the way that we're set up, we are not able to take a position, but I do see us as being vetters and gatherers of all of the information so that business folks can decide for themselves what's the right decision for them, right, in their business, as opposed to, because my bylaws dictate that, so I can't do that. But
I think part of the scope we'd have to come up with is a set of rules, like exactly what Mo's saying. If EDIC wants to put on the social media page of some sort saying there's a public speak for the Dunkin' Donuts project tonight, please come and speak, but we can't say, please come speak in favor.
Correct.
So I think if we detail our rules, we'll be golden. I'm sorry, go ahead, Casey. I interrupted you.
No, I just think that one of the things that would be easy for us to establish is just simply sharing pre-existing information that's already on the website, because so many times people are hearing things through the newspaper or social media secondhand after meetings met. So I think if we just go after low-hanging fruit to start and simply be taking pre-existing content that the public is not aware of and basically educating them on what the agendas are, because so many times I miss meetings because there's so many different little elements that I want to hear from, but it just to know when they are and to be reminded of them is not there. So I think that would be helpful from us from a starting point to just say, we're going to inform the public of the public meetings that have to do with business in Easthampton, and whether or not it's sharing new business that moves to Cottage Street or something like that, or vacant store fronts that are available for rent. That would be the next few stages that we go at, but we can simply try to start to be more of an information share.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yep.
Yeah, so two things kind of stick out to me that I like about this. I think we could promote like new business that's come here, like new places that have opened, and just putting that out there to try and reach more people and just promote kind of the the development here. But also I think that if we had a kind of presence like that, it also makes us more accessible to people who are having issues. Like if we go back to what we were talking about with Casey Corsello's group, those ideas that people can come to us and we're having these issues, or we'd like to open a business here and we need help, getting through this process. And that really would open us up, instead of being like, oh, they have to find us on the city website and find who the chair is and email and get on the agenda. Instead, they could just, send us a message and we could, be very much more available to them in that way.
And we could be the group that has the big scissors that cuts the ribbons for the that are not chamber members.
So it
Can't
seems
hear you, Mo. You're on mute. You're on mute, Mo. Did you say some words?
Oh, no, I am the keeper of the scissors, you people.
I would just go back to Mo's cautionary comments in the beginning, which is this does take a lot of oversight and someone who's willing to keep it current. Before I left the bank, we had hired a person full-time to just manage social media. I'm not saying we need a full-time person to do this, but it can get stale and outdated in a hurry if someone's not managing and keeping it up to date. So that's the only cautionary tale I would jump on that Mo brought up.
That's why I thought it would be easy if we just simply set it out as taking pre-existing minutes and agendas from already existing content and sort of putting those into public view as far as like, sure, you want to go look at school committee, you don't want to look at all this stuff. These are the issues that have to do with business in the city, and we know what those 3 meetings potentially are, and we simply cut and paste those as far as content.
Yeah, there's another board that I'm on that one of the standing agenda items is board visibility, in which every month, every meeting, they talk about the things that the board needs to get out there to the public, and that could be something we do too. It's pretty simple, and then people will say we need to get this, this, and this out there on the page this month. But it seems like everybody is in favor of doing this, so maybe we should just, I don't know, do we need to make a motion to replace the outdoor dining goal, Gwen, or do we just do it?
Who's
And then-
creating the content for this?
I think that's what I'm thinking. It's something we're going to have to flesh out and come up with standards and practices, and maybe a rule something, so we don't step on our own toes by like supporting something like Tomo's point earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's a little research that needs to be done too, just to be clear, like, let's not make up all of our own rules. Let's know whether there are pre-existing rules somewhere and use those to our advantage. So I'm fine to have people vote to replace the other one, the COVID-specific outdoor dining, with this one.
So I'll make the motion to replace outdoor dining on our priority list with social media engagement and presence.
And I will second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Holler aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. I'm taking a final note on that last bit. Visibility by. So having said that, it's approved. Is there someone who would like to champion this idea and do a little research to find out whether there are obvious boundaries that we need to stay within?
I will take that responsibility.
Casey Douglas.
Thank you,
Okay.
Casey.
Thanks, Casey.
I'm pawning it off on Kim.
Yeah, way to go.
All right, so Casey will work on research around our whatever boundaries might exist for us. Okay. Thank you for that. All right, so our other 2 topics. We have one area that we have spent a number of meetings touching on, at least briefly. Cassie, you came to us with a proposal from early 2020 in the first place. We have a lot of research that you did in other municipalities across Massachusetts that could inform this. I feel like we have some early ideas for steps we can take regarding vacant buildings and storefronts. We have 19 minutes left in this meeting. And so I wonder if we would like to establish what we'd like our first steps to really be on vacant buildings. Like, what do we want to address in a month? Is it? What do we want to do in May? What do we want to have done by June? That sort of thing.
Where we left
We
off.
had 19 minutes left to this meeting.
Yeah, because I set the meeting to go till 5:15.
Oh, okay.
Where we left off in March was that the person from Arlington was going to come talk to us about implementing this, and then COVID hit.
Well, so what do you think, Cassie? Should we invite this Arlingtonian to a May meeting?
I would
Pick
be
that up again?
glad if folks are interested.
Yeah, I think this is a great actionable thing that is really within our scope, and we can make it happen. I really like this idea.
And I think it's like what Gwen was saying, as far as like, let's not come up with our own path. Let's look at pre-existing path. I mean, I think one of the issues that we have with the buildings, the vacant buildings, are there's different landlords, and one of them who has the majority of them is on this end of town, and then the other ones are all individually owned and scattered, and so they're different. They're different agendas, so it's how we approach them would be great if there's already a template kind of concept.
Okay, I'll check in with her.
Cassie, Tom. Cassie, this person from Arlington, are they an EDIC? What's their position, or was? If you don't remember, that's cool too.
He's part of business development for Arlington, economic development, I think.
Okay.
Cassie,
So I
do
would
you,
love it, Cassie, if we could get back in touch with that human being and see if they would like to join us in May. I believe our next meeting is May 18th.
All right.
Cassie, do you recall if the implementation of this was going to require some sort of city ordinance approved by the city council?
Arlington has a city ordinance or town ordinance, and I think we distributed it, but I can try and pull it.
So to me, that would be the first, and definitely we want to hear from Arlington, but that would be the first step, because if for some reason the city council shot this down, then we wouldn't have wanted to done all the work on identifying properties, creating the template and all of that. I also think there's another mechanism that I would need Jeff to educate me on. I thought that ordinances could be brought forward by petition, and you only needed like 10 signatures to bring something before, whether it's planning or wherever it goes. We might need some direction. I can try to follow up with Jeff and see what that process is for getting that approved. Again, my thought is we're not trying to make this punitive to the owners. We're not doing this in a way to try to raise more money for the city. We're doing it in a way to try to incentivize them to fix up or rent or tear down their damn properties.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make it incentivize. Another word for make it unpleasant. So as far as getting in the ordinance petitioned, I think you're right, Tom. There's a charter mechanism to do that, but I think that there are several councilors who would carry the torch for this ordinance that we come up with, if not all of them. You know, I don't really see anyone coming down on us unless we, came up with something that was egregious, like what you're saying, raising money for the city. But that's not our goal here. No,
Making it punitive enough to make the business owner take action. I mean, if we said, we're going to charge you $100 a year, they're just going to keep paying the $100. If it's $1,000 a year, it might get their attention.
Okay, so it sounds like our first two steps on that particular topic are we're going to invite Arlington to join us in May, and Tom is going to check in with Jeff to get some clarity on what it takes to get an ordinance in front of the city council in the first place. And what I will also do is resend to everybody after this meeting what we had pulled together in early 2020, so we can all refresh our own memories for our May meeting, so that we're all coming in with, oh, right, I remember what path we were on. Other thoughts?
Yes, can I ask about what scope we're looking for as far as achievement on this? Are we looking for the long-term final answer, this is what the city policy is? And or are we looking for short-term gains to get public art in or, stuff happening with the buildings this summer?
I think probably a healthy mix of both. And I think that informing ourselves in between now and May will help us know that better.
Yeah, Casey, I think the two most obvious ones that we've talked about are the Moriarty building and the Hurry and Scurry building. Although the city can't pass an ordinance that's specific to any property. It's got to be able sort of be a one size fits all. But those two properties, this might just be the thing that pushes the owner over the edge to do something.
Well, it's hard, but I mean, when we identify vacant buildings, I don't know how many of you guys, have you identified which ones are vacant? Because I can tell you there's 5 across the street from me and 1 on either side. So there's 7 vacant storefronts in my neighborhood, and 6 of them are owned by the same landlord. And that landlord was given a letter offering to purchase his property with a self-addressed stamped envelope with check boxes that still hasn't been returned. So I talked to his tenants, and they said, go find him. Just money's the only thing that's going to motivate him. He doesn't even cash rent checks for months. That it's sort of like,
wow.
So it's like, what are we going to get short term or long term? I don't know.
I think the distinction, Casey, would be, and this is just my opinion, I think the distinction would be standalone buildings like Moriarty's building and Hurry and Scurry versus vacant storefronts, where vacant storefronts, if they're making an active effort to try to rent it, and it's vacant for 3 months or 4 months or 5 months, I don't think we're going to penalize them based on turnover. If it's vacant for an extended period of time, I think there has to be something that kicks in whatever timeline they hit. If it's vacant for 6 months, maybe it hits a trigger.
Just throwing this out there, I could see us having like a progressive charge where as, time progresses further and further, maybe it's more and more. And, if there was an exemption mechanism for somebody to say, hey, I have these things in process, I need these repairs. It's, this is my timeline for getting it into shape where I can, sell this or do the work on this, and that would be a financial burden to me to pay that fee, then have a way for them maybe to do that. And I think that we also would want to be cautious, not that we would be doing this, but that nobody gets the idea or the appearance that we're in some way penalizing businesses or properties that maybe lost businesses because of the pandemic, just because of the timing of
Right.
what we're talking about and what's happening.
I guess the example I was thinking of, if you look at the building on Northampton Street where it used to be a car dealership, then it was the Carpet Place, now it's vacant, but it's actively on the market for sale. I'm not so sure we'd want to be penalizing that owner. He's trying to move the property. If it just sat there vacant for a year or two, if it was, the worst example we have in town is the Moriarty building. That's been vacant for 10 or 15 years. And like Hurry and Scurry, it's going to fall down pretty soon, although cinder block doesn't fall down as fast as wood does.
So if memory serves, Cassie, those documents that you brought, 3 decades ago before COVID was, it covered the thresholds that a lot of these other towns get. So we can review all that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and why reinvent the wheel? Let's just copy Arlington if we like it, or adjust it accordingly.
The one thing that I would point out is that the ECA has gotten a fair amount of grant money this year, and that going forward, we could try to put that on their regular radar as storefronts as a viable gallery space. I think that the units could work together. There's, ebb and flow as far as financing for the arts community, that as a way to sort of bridge the two, like we say, we want to just make their places look a little bit better. There are sources in place to be able to say, and here's how we're going to do it.
Yeah, and if these vacant storefronts are serving the public good, then they should get an exemption.
Exactly. And it's not about the money. It's not about the money.
Right.
It's about feeling like there's a scene happening, even though there's places that aren't being rented.
And Casey, I'm not trying to be negative, but I wonder with the 5 storefronts across the street from you, what kind of response you'll get about allowing art in the windows when you're not getting a response on an offer to purchase the building next to you.
Exactly. And that's where they were saying, fine, just start to set up a fine increment, because
Exactly.
the way that you're ever going to get his attention.
Yep.
Okay, so it sounds like we will have more information in May, and we can get much clearer about our scope, but this is a great start today. Our final topic is creative ideas for transporting folks around the city to planned music, art, and food events. So what's our scope? Like specific geographical areas of service. What are we into? How do we want to think about this?
I'll make a suggestion that it seems like the areas that would really benefit from this would be that Union and Main corner, and then the Cottage Street area. And pedestrians at one end don't really want to go to the other, but, on foot. But we always have talked about before how we want to increase, the traffic of pedestrians between those areas. especially along Union Street. But there's that huge long strip where they're not really interested in anything there, and there's this big intersection, a lot of cars going through.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it may sound too simple, but I think that we have large parking spots, areas. Some are business owned and some are publicly owned. And that the concept of having a shuttle bus is physically feasible. It's just the resources necessary, whether or not it's the funding involved in it, and how it works. Because obviously, there's parking spots at the mills, right? Ebb and flow, Saturday nights, Fridays. There's parking at Maple Street and Payson Avenue. There's parking at Easthampton Savings Bank and the church. So there's parking on Main Street areas. Some is public, some is private. There's parking by the mills, and there's parking by Cottage Street. And that's basically the zones where commercial stuff is happening. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of, and then Arts in the Orchard is sort of a thing that happens in the fall. That, there's spots and content.
Yeah.
I guess I envisioned this a little bit too, being if there was an event going on Cottage Street that finished up at 6 o'clock, and there was an event starting at 6:30 at Millside Park, and you want to get people from point A to point B without all jumping in their cars and taking them across town, that this public transportation might move the people to a variety of events that are across town, sort of what Paul was saying about getting from point A to point B. But if there's a single event at a venue, say Millside Park, I'm not sure how we get folks, if people are coming from their home or whatever, I'm not sure how we're picking up folks and getting them there and getting them back. I envisioned a time where there might be multiple events going on in the city, that this transportation might take people to multiple events without getting in a car.
Well, just one example is, you go to Las Vegas and you stay at the Hurrah, and they own the Rio and they own the other one. And so they just have shuttle buses between their parking garages. And so it's just this loop. This bus just goes around and around. Right. And it takes about 20 minutes for them to do the cycle. And that the bus is going to show up every 20 minutes. So that's sort of like just a simple thing. Like there's designated parking spots. The bus comes every 20 minutes. You're going to go to the new city, have a beer, leave your vehicle there, hop on the bus. The bus takes you to Cottage Street. Cottage is great, a little crowded. You hop on the bus, takes you up to Main Street. You get something here. Oh, it's time to go home. You hop on the bus. You're back at the mill. So that's the simplest, pre-existing thing. The other part of it is to talk to the folks at Northampton Tours. They're a foodie tour. It's a privately owned business, and they set up events like, you're going to park here. We're going to take you to Provisions. You get some cheese and some wine. Then we're going to take you to this restaurant. You're going to get an appetizer, and then we're going to take you to this other restaurant. And they book table time, and that's more of a schedule thing, and that's a little bit more coordinated with the private sector, or just it's not the scope of what we do, but I think that there's an opportunity to see if there's a business that would want to look at our situation and work with us.
Yeah, that's exactly how I pictured it too, Casey. In fact, I don't know if I caught you saying this or not, but I didn't even think of this as a special event thing. I mean, I would love to see this every single Friday and Saturday night, for instance. I mean, if you do the hours of say, 6 to 10 or whatever it comes out to, that's 8 hours a week is not a lot of money for a city employee to ferry people around. And the benefit is exponentially great based on that money spent. I mean, that's where I would go. I would make a route, like you said, around town, and just have that shuttle bus run the whole time for every Friday and Saturday. Because, it locks, like you said, it locks people into places. So you get off the bus at, say, Eastworks, you're going to spend some time at Eastworks, for instance, and then you're going to get to Cottage Street, you're going to spend some time there. And that you're going to be able to escape in any 20-minute window. So I think that's great. That's where I would be on scope, is just a loop every weekend.
No, and so the first thing that I think about is, obviously the liability of it, and that's where we would start is who's going to transport it? Are we going to hire somebody and set up a sponsorship thing, which I could totally see, if the bus is going to stop right in front of the Brass Cat, maybe he throws a bone. If place stops out here, then we get some sponsorship to say, all right, we're behind the costs of, you're saying 8 hours a week. Well, okay, 12 hours, the liability, the truck, I'm looking at it. It costs us $1,000 a week to have that. Well, geez, that's manageable. So I think that it's sort of like deciding on what level we're going to be. Are we going to use city buses? Are we going to hire a company that they already do transportation? They already have drivers. They already have insurance. So it's which direction? Because I think there's solutions to both.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that the city already has shuttle buses and drivers and insurance through the Council on Aging, and they do a lot of that. And I've talked to the fellow who runs there, and he says that he's always looking for projects, for his drivers to get more hours and stuff, especially, well, I think we're talking, a while ago, but yeah, so it's kind of infrastructure we already have that we could probably extend to that purpose.
Again, lowest hanging fruit is the thing to get achieved.
And they're right there on the loop.
Yes.
The other thing that's about to hit the ground this summer is the senior tax work-off program. Yeah. And it's possible that you could get an appropriate senior to drive that bus on a regular basis, and in exchange for that, they get a reduction on their tax bill.
So what better synergy than that?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if it's possible to use the COA bus, I'm not sure, but we could talk to Brendan. And again, we're not putting a ton of wear and tear on it, but use the senior bus and have a senior volunteer, go bar hopping.
I mean, foot traffic, it's really, the benefits are unimaginable. We just don't know how good it would be. Maybe it won't work, but I think it would be really, really excellent. A lot of foot traffic would be generated from this.
Yeah, I agree. No, till we try it. The only thing I would alter on Casey's plan of where we bring these people is at the end of the night, you might have to bring them home, not back to their car.
Well, not everybody drinks as much after the pandemic.
Yeah, I have not found that to be true. I found it more.
Well, that was my problem, and I learned, so now I drink less.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
Amazing idea generation. We're doing some great problem solving. I've loved every moment. And so are there folks so we've talked about senior tax work-off program, talking to Brendan about use of Council on Aging buses. What is our actual next set of steps here?
I'll talk to Brendan. I happen to be on the committee for implementation of the senior tax work-off program. So I'll talk to Brendan about the ability to use the bus, and I'll bring it up at our next committee meeting. Right now, again, we're just putting the protocols in place for creating positions and how people apply. The only issue I could see with this one is making sure it's enough hours. The senior who works in a position is looking for 111 hours a year to maximize the reduction of $1,500 in taxes.
Okay.
So I don't know if this would come to 111 hours, but it doesn't mean that it couldn't be coupled with another position.
I think additionally, next meeting, we should firm up exactly what we're looking to do and what days and what hours, and maybe if we're ambitious, a route.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Tom's got some tasks. Is there anything else that needs to happen outside of this group before May?
Again, Chris, we can put the meat on the bones at our next meeting, but I can just feel out Brendan to see, are there any restrictions on the use of that bus for things other than transporting seniors?
Yeah.
And how might we fit this into the tax work-off program?
Yeah, because I think it's Viper 1 and Viper 2 are those two.
Yeah.
I think that those are the most logical things. So if we can rule out not being able to or rule in using them, that'd be good.
Okay. The other thought I had real quick is, does anyone know if that Nashawanic Express is still running? The little bus that ran all over, the little bus that could? Oh, it is.
Oh,
You mean the PVTA bus?
Yeah, the little one that said Nashawanic Express on it.
It's a PVTA though, I believe.
There is
yes,
a-
it is.
Yeah, it goes by my house constantly,
the
all day
Nashawanic.
long.
See, I don't know what their route is and what their mission in life is. It was presumably transporting people around town, I thought.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea, but they are still running.
Okay.
And they're on Hendrick Street?
They're circling Mo's house all day long.
It's my house, yeah.
A
No,
lot
it's,
of
I
people
think
go
it's
to Mo's house, okay? A lot of people.
just saying.
They're really all over town, Chris.
It does the loop. It goes it's like every 3 hours, I think it is. It goes around and does downtown. So you can go to Big E's and Council on Aging and whatever else, and it just kind of goes around the loop.
I mean, if failing the Council on Aging shuttles, maybe we look into that, funding them somehow or paying them to do something for us. But I guess we'll know more when Tom talks to Brendan.
Sure.
And thank you, Tom.
No
Yes,
problem.
thank you, Tom. So several folks have tasks to achieve before next meeting. I am very grateful for your time today and your brains. Thank you so much. Is there anything else anybody needs to say before we close this out?
I
Okay, motion to,
appreciate you guys volunteering this time every month.
You too.
Same to you, Casey.
all right, motion to close this meeting. Motion
I
to
make a
adjourn.
motion to close.
Okay, we got a second somewhere. Great. Any further discussion of this adjournment? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Thank you.